Hello and welcome back to my channel where we are reading the Bible in a year. We are reading the entire Bible in a year, and today is day 70. Well, day 70 should have been yesterday, but like I said, we're playing catch up. And we're always playing catch up, seems like. So I'm not gonna make that promise that like this is it. I'm not. I'm just gonna, if I do it, I do it. But I'm not gonna keep making that promise or whatever that, hey, I'm gonna catch up. But it is highly important that I do, and I get my stuff together and make sure I'm on here. But anyway, day 70. So today we're reading Matthew 13, 24 through 58. Okay, and then there's more parables. And then Leviticus 19. And then we're not doing Proverbs because I did that on the last video so that I can just move through quickly and not just move straight through. Because, yeah. So, Matthew, I say 13, 24 through 58. So, the parable of the weeds among the wheat. So, he put before them another parable. The kingdom of God may be compared to someone who sowed good seed in his field, but while everybody was asleep, the enemy came and sowed seeds among the wheat, and then went away. So when the plants came up and bore grain, the weeds appeared as well. And the slaves of the householder came to say to him, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? Where then did these weeds come from? He answered, an enemy has come and done this. The slave said to him, do you want us to go and gather them? But he replied, no, for in the gathering of the weeds, you would uproot the wheat among with them. Let both of them grow together until the harvest. And at the harvest, I will tell the reapers, collect the weeds first, bind them into bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat until my barn. The parable of the mustard seed. He put before another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all the seeds when it was grown, and it is the greatest of shrubs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. The parable of the yeast. He told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed with 3 measures of flour until all of it was leavened. The use of parables. Jesus told the crowds all these things in parables. Without a parable, he told them nothing. This was to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet. I will open my mouth to speak in parables. I will proclaim what has been hidden from the foundation of the world. Jesus explains the parable of weeds. When he left the crowds and went into the house, and his disciples approached him, saying, explain to us the parable of weeds in the field. He answered, the one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed are children of the kingdom. The weeds are the children of the evil one. And the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest at the end of age, and the reapers are angels. Just as the weeds are collected and burned up with fire, so will it at the end of age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will collect out of the kingdom all causes of sin and all the evildoers, and they will throw them into the furnace of fire, where there be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Let anyone with ears listen. 3 parables. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in the field. When someone found it, hid then in his joy he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like the merchant in search of fine pearls. On finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like the net that was thrown into the sea and caught fish of every kind. When it was full, they drew it ashore, sat down, and put the good into baskets and threw out the bad. So it will be at the end of age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them in the furnace of fire, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Treasures new and old. Have you understood all this? They answered, yes. Then he said to them, therefore every scribe who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven is like the master of the household, who brings out of his treasure what is new and what is old. When Jesus had finished these parables, he left that place. The rejection of Jesus at Nazareth. He came to his hometown and began to teach the people in their synagogue. So they were astounded and said, where did this man get this wisdom and those deeds of power? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? are not his brothers James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? And are not all his sisters with us? Where did this man get all this? And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, prophets are not without honor except in their own country and in their own house. And he did not do many deeds of power there because of their unbelief. All right. So the parable of the weeds. Jesus tells a story about a farmer who plants weeds, but the enemy sows weeds among the wheat. So the servants ask if they should pull up the weeds, but the farmer says, if you pull up the weeds, you're going to pull up the harvest. Let them grow together, but and then when we harvest it, we'll separate the good from the bad. So the field is the world, the good seed are the children of God's kingdom, and the weeds are the children of the evil one. So you're mixed in with people who are unbelievers, and you're mixed in with people who who want to do the will of God. All right. And the thing is, we don't want to get intertwined and become like them, but basically he's coming back to separate the good from the bad. So the enemy is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the age, the end of times. And the harvesters are the angels, and the angels are going to come. So at the final judgment, the wicked will be separated from the righteous. This reminds us that God allows good and evil to exist together for now, but judgment will come where he will separate that. All right. And do we trust God's timing in separating the righteous from the wicked? Do we trust that will come? Or do we believe that will come? So the mustard seed and the yeast. The mustard seed starts small, but grows into a large tree, just like God's kingdom, which began with Jesus and a few disciples, but now has spread worldwide. All right. And the yeast represents how God's kingdom works invisibly within the hearts of societies and transforms over time. So yeast grows and transforms over time. It doesn't look like it's doing much, but then it ends up expanding and changing. Okay. And now we're letting God's kingdom grow in our lives. So the hidden treasure in the pearl, the man sells everything to buy a pearl of great value. I gave up all of that for this. All right. So, do we treasure everything that God, do we treasure God's kingdom above everything else? And then even the nets, like they pull in the fish and they separate the good from the bad. All right. Jesus rejected his own. Then he went to Nazareth, and they just like, who is this man? Isn't that the carpenter's son? Who is he? Because of their unbelief, Jesus did not do many of the miracles there either. So prophets are not without honor except their own country and their own house. He did not do many deeds of power there because of their unbelief. All right. They're no willingness to know more, because, I think other places, like he gathered crowds, So that's that. Okay, we're moving on to Leviticus 19. All right. In a few days, we'll be done with Leviticus. We got 8 more days. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to all the congregation, the people of Israel, and say to them, you shall be holy, for I am the Lord your God. I am holy. You shall revere your mother and father. You shall keep my Sabbath. I am the Lord your God. Do not turn idols and make cast images for yourself. I am the Lord your God. When you offer sacrifice of well-being to the Lord, offer in such a way that it is acceptable on your behalf. It shall be eaten on the same day you offer it, or the next day. And anything left over until the 3rd day shall be consumed in fire. If it is eaten on the 3rd day, it is an abomination and will not be acceptable. All who eat it shall be subject to punishment, because they have profaned what is holy to the Lord. And any such person shall be cut off from the people. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap the very edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall not strip your vineyard bare, or gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the alien. I am the Lord your God. You shall not steal. You shall not deal falsely. You shall not lie to one another, and you shall not swear falsely by my name, profaning in the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not defend your neighbor. You shall not steal. You shall not keep for yourself the wages of the laborer until morning. You shall not revile the deaf, or put a stumbling block before the blind. You shall fear your God. I am the Lord. You shall not render any unjust judgment. You shall not be partial to the poor, or defer to the great. With justice you shall judge your neighbor. You shall not go around as a slanderer among your people, and you shall not profit by the blood of your neighbor. I am the Lord. You shall not hate in your heart any one of your kin. You shall reprove your neighbor, or you will incur guilt yourself. You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against any of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. You shall keep my statutes. You shall not let your animals breed with a different kind. You shall not sow your field with two kinds of seed, nor shall you put a garment made of two different materials. If a man has sexual relations with a woman who is a slave, designated for any another man, but not ransom or given her freedom, an inquiry shall be held. They shall not be punished to death, since she has not been freed, but he shall bring a guilt offering for himself to the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting, a ram as a guilt offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of guilt offering before the Lord for his sin that he committed, and the sin he committed shall be forgiven him. When you come into the land and plant all kinds of trees for food, then you shall regard their fruit as forbidden. 3 years it shall be forbidden to you. It must not be eaten. In the 4th year, all their fruit shall be set apart for rejoicing in the Lord. But in the 5th year, you may eat of their fruit, that their yield may increase for you. I am the Lord your God. You shall not eat anything with its blood. You shall not practice augury or witchcraft. You shall not round off the hair on your temples, or mar the edges of your beard. You shall not make any gashes in your flesh or for the dead, or tattoo any marks upon you. I am the Lord. Do not profane your daughter by making her a prostitute, and the land not become prostituted and full of depravity. You shall keep my Sabbath and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to mediums or wizards. Do not seek them out. Don't be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. You shall rise again the aged and defer to the old. You shall fear your God. I am the Lord. When an alien resides with you in your land, you shall not oppress the alien. The alien who resides within you shall be to you as a citizen among you. You shall love the alien as yourself, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. You shall not cheat in measuring length, weight, or quantity. You should have an honest balances, honest weights, and honest ephah, an honest hin. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You shall keep all my statutes and all my ordinances and observe them. I am the Lord. All right. So that ends today's lesson. Leviticus 19. So he calls, the Israel to be holy as he is holy. Practical commandments. To me, all of them are practical commandments. Respect for parents and the Sabbath day, avoiding adultery, honesty in business, okay? And loving, that's 11 through 13, honesty in business. That's what he's talking about there. You shall not steal. You shall not deal falsely. You shall not lie to one another. The weight on your scales should be fair. Don't try to, deviate it or anything like that. Loving your neighbor as yourself. Jesus later calls this the second greatest commandment is loving your neighbor. First loving God, then loving your neighbor as yourself. Justice and fairness. And that's, the rest of the verses 15 and then 35 through 36. And God wants his people to set apart, living differently than surrounding nations. All right? Okay. They should be able to tell his people from those people. All right. So tomorrow will be day 71, and I will be right on track reading Leviticus 20 through 21. You see, I'm just so fixated on Leviticus. It's so hard to read. Oh my gosh. So we'll be doing 2 a day. Okay. So Friday, I should be done with Leviticus and moving on to Numbers. Yeah. I think Numbers is like a big count. Refers to the many numbers contained in the 2 census lists. So there was a census. So the census of the God's people of Israel. Okay. So Yeah, so Moses is still here, so he hasn't been, he hasn't been told yet that he won't. I don't know, maybe he has been told already that he won't enter the kingdom. Or maybe that happens in Deuteronomy. I'm not sure. All right, so I'm wondering if this is a hard read too. But anyway, okay. Well, I'm off to get ready for work. Until tomorrow, farewell and be blessed.